Hey everyone, and welcome to my first episode of Fox Reading Review. I am your host Fox, and today I will be reviewing and sampling a short story called The Black God's Drum, written by P. Gel Clark. If I mispronounce his middle name, please correct me in the comments. This story takes place in New Orleans, Louisiana, the week of Mardi Gras in 1884. An alternate timeline where the Civil War, though ended in 1866, the Confederate state military is more or less still in existence. New Orleans was freed from the South during the beginning of the Civil War due to a slave uprising against the Confederate soldiers, making it easier for the freed colored military of the North to come in and help take over the city. The fighting got so bad the French and the Brits had to jump in, and a truce was made that allowed New Orleans to be a neutral zone for everyone. Another thing to add was how Hades and the other islands were freed from the French rule. After the first battle that pushed the French off the islands, the now freed Haitians quickly got to work on fixing up what airships they had for battle. However, the French naval fleet was heading for them faster than they were ready for. However, the Haitians had a secret weapon that drove off the French, won Hades, now renamed the Free Islands, her independence and her sovereignty, without having to pay the ridiculous debt the French had for seceding from them. Excuse me. Now that I explained a bit of the story world background, let's get on to the plot of the story. The story starts off with our main protagonist, Creeper, a 13-year-old orphan girl street urchin of New Orleans. Overhears the plot made by some Confederate soldiers and an unknown Cajun man to meet up with a Haitian scientist. The scientist was to deliver a weapon to them, the very weapon that the Haitians used against the French, the Black God's Drum. Upon hearing this, Creeper devised a plan that would stop the Confederates and hopefully change her life forever. She seeks out the captain of the Midnight Robber. Of course, nothing in life is free, and Creeper knows this very well. Upon meeting with Captain St. Augustine, Creeper makes a deal: the location for where the pickup is to take place, and even to take the captain there in exchange for a spot on the crew of the Midnight Robber. Captain Anne Marie St. Augustus, Free Island sailor turned smuggler, knowing the power and the consequences behind the Black God's Drum, agrees to Creeper's terms to get the location. Unfortunately, things don't go according to plan for Creeper or the Confederate soldiers. Unfortunately, there was an ambush. The Confederates killed and the Haitian scientists taken. Now Creeper and the captain must venture into La Ville Morte, the dead city, to get the scientists and the weapon back before it's used. Now, my personal review, my first reaction to finding said book and reading the summary was, why is it so dang short? It sounds really good. You would think this would be a much bigger novel. After reading it, oh dear God, make this a series. Please make this a series. Clark, please make this a series. Well, a little bit more enthusiastic with a lot more cussing. Let's just say I really like the book. Overall, the story is very, very good for a short story. Keep in mind, of course, it being a short story, there's not much to do in that short amount of time. For world building, it's wonderful. You get a background history, you get an understanding. of how everything came to be. And there is some character growth and development throughout the story. Not a lot, but is some. It is mainly around the characters of Creeper and Captain Anne Marie. Mind you, it's minor, just enough to show that there's some change. I was super excited when I found this book, which was through Amazon. I know this book has been out for a few years at this point. I wanted to start off my channel with a very easy and short book. Basically, I know a few people who didn't know about this book. I didn't even know about this book. So it was a bit of a shocker to have found it. So now I'm going to read the first few pages of The Black God's Drum. So I apologize in advance if I stumble over words. The night in New Orleans always got something going on. My meme used to say, like the city don't know how to sleep. You want a good look? Take a cable elevator to the top one of Les Grands Murs, where airship docks on the hour. Them giant iron walls ring the whole big miss on either side. Up here you can see New Algiers on the west bank. Its building yards all choked in factory smoke and workmen scurrying around the bones of new built vessels like ants. Turn around and there's downtown wharves lit up with gas lamps like glittering stars. You can make out the other wall in the east over Lake Bourge. And the fourth one, like the crescent moon up north around Swamp Pontchartrain, what most folks call La Ville Morte, the Dead City. Les Grands Murs were built by Dutchmen to protect against the storms that came every year. Not the regular hurricanes, neither, but them tempest norths that turned the skies into night for a whole week. I was born in one of them big ones some 13 years back in 1871. The walls held in big mist, but the rain and the winds almost drowned the city away, filled it up like a bowl. My mammy pushed me out of her belly in that storm, clinging to a big sweet gum tree in the middle of the thunder and lightning. She said I was Oya's child, the goddess of storm, life, death, and rebirth, who came over with her great-grandmammy from L'Afrique, and who runs strong in our blood. My mammy said that's why I take to high places so, looking to ride Oya's winds. Les Grands Murs is where I call home these days. It's not the finest accommodation. Drafty on winter nights and so hot in the summer, all you could do is lay about in your own sweat. But lots of street kids set up for themselves up here. Better than getting swept into workhouse orphanages or being conscripted to steal for the thieving boss. Me, I marked out a prime spot in a clove just some ways off from one of the main airship's mooring mast. That's where the gangplanks are laid down for disembarkment passengers heading into the city. Concealed in my clove, I can see them all, in every color and shade, in every sort of dress, talking in more languages than I can count, their voices competing with the rattling of dirigible engines and the hum of the ship propellers. It always gets me thinking on how there's a whole world out there full of all kinds of people. One day I dream I'm going to get on one of those airships. I'll sail away from this city into the clouds and visit all the places there are to visit and see all the people there are to see. Of course, watching for my clothes is also good for making out folks too careless with their purses, luggage, and anything else for the taking. Because in New Orleans, you can't survive on just dreams. And that's a simple from the Black God's Drum. Alright, guys. Now, if I had treated you enough, please go out and buy this book. It's a really good book. I actually fell in love with it. And I actually like the writing style of the author. So, if you're interested, go pick it up. You can either get it off of Barnes & Nobles or Amazon. Alright, my little readers, that's it for the night. Hope you guys have a pleasant day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.